And in today's live section, we are going to be having a conversation about something which a lot of people who try to invest in Abuja constantly face. In fact, whenever you're trying to invest in Nigeria generally, you get to face this challenge, which is releasing your money to someone or to a company to buy a land. Like I would always say, a lot of times, buying of property is not the fastest or easiest investment to make. In fact, there's nothing worth doing like that you have to literally do it easily, unless maybe you've had a precedent from someone where you can comfortably now do or invest in real estate. So that's why I'm going to be talking on the subject matter, which is before you send any money to invest in real estate, whether now or in the future, there are a few things you have to tick. You know how you have to dot the I's and cross the T's? You have to constantly do that to help you not to lose your hard-earned money. Welcome back to our live section today. If you're joining us wherever you are, just let us know where you're watching us from, and I would say hello or greets. Okay, but if you also can try and type where you're watching us from, that will be absolutely amazing. So let's dive right into the topic. See, real estate investment, I'll always say, is not that easy investment. Why? Because it's not cheap. It's not like you are buying dress or buying shoe. It's something that costs a lot of money. So sometimes when people are investing, the question is, who is collecting your money? Who are you paying to? And at the end of the day, these things help or even push people further away from investing in real estate because people have lost their money. So before anyone sends any money, you look at what you have to do. The first thing is, now that you've seen the property you like, check who is selling. Who is the person selling? Sometimes those questions can save or explain in details who you are investing from. For example, if I have a sweet property in Asokoro and I want to invest, I want to be sure that the prices or the papers of that location is clean. Because you don't want a situation where maybe you started paying and eventually you hear demolition. Why? Because you're paying luxury, you're paying for luxury, and someone had not done his or her due diligence fully for them to come and sell real estate, and they will use your money to come and do it. All right. So it doesn't make sense that you are investing in real estate and you are not doing your due diligence regarding the company. So who is selling this property you are looking to buy? So find out who is the owner and who is selling, and eventually do your due diligence on them. If they have office, you can send someone to go there, check if they are, because we are focusing on Nigerians based in diaspora, you have to ensure that you do this. You have to. I believe strongly that people have recommended us, people have mentioned a word or two, people have seen us online, they've reached out to us, even without doing all this. But that doesn't still erase the fact that this ought to be done. So a genuine company gets to provide everything you ask them for, especially if it's available, they provide it to you. All right. So find out who owns that property before you pay for it. The next thing you have to do, if you are going to or if you are looking to buy, send money to invest here, verify the land. Now you verify the company, verify the land. How do you verify the land? Okay, so sometimes you see videos, sometimes you see pictures, flyers about the property and the exact location. What title does it come with? Does it come with an FCDA? Does it come with a C of O? And when you found out that, you can go on to do your due diligence using AGIS. All right here, this is a body responsible for verifying of property here in Abuja. That's the first set. Okay, you can use AGIS and ensure that you get the land verified. Is this land in the place they said it is? The title it has and the square meters, is it the number on the title? Is it for residential? Is this land, is it for residential purposes or for commercial purposes? Sometimes people get to buy commercial lands. Meanwhile, they're seeking for residential land. All right. So find out all that, confirm a proper or carry out a proper search on the land, right? Check the status of the land. This is one of the most important ones. Is it a government property? All right. Is it a property that still has issues and is in court? Sometimes the body ages shows that, but you have to do your due diligence. The next thing is the title, the document. One of the biggest mistakes a lot of buyers buy in real estate here is, one of the biggest mistakes buyers make before buying properties is not seeing the documentation. Okay, sometimes when an owner of a property has a property and is looking to sell, there are processes it goes through. So find out the process so you know eventually this person you are looking to buy from, what is the person's stake? Because if we are truthful to ourselves, we understand that in Abuja real estate market, Abuja, the way it functions is different from every other state. That's why you get someone gets an allocation, someone buys from that person, another person buys, and before you know it, that's passed 2 to 3 hands before you, as an individual, is now buying. So find out the documents, all of them signed, to help you buy safely. Okay. So the title documents such as R of O or C of O, and find out if they have a layout plan. In our case, we call it TDP. So find out the TDP of that land. All right. In other states, it's known as the survey. You find out the survey of the land or the particular plot you are looking out to buy. All right. So if you are watching this video from wherever you are, let us know where you are watching us from, and we'll help guide you into investing safely in Abuja. One of the major reasons I am doing this live session is to help anyone who is considering or even thinking on investing in Abuja, because I believe strongly that when you know, you do better. When you understand how the market runs or works, you do it better. You do it the right way, rather than at the end of the day spending so much money and you realize that you just bought the wrong property. Okay, so if you have any question regarding investing in Abuja, do not hesitate to reach me on the number showing on the screen in the description box. So the next thing you have to do is, after the first thing we talked about is verifying the company. If you are in diaspora and you're looking to invest in Abuja, the first thing is verify the company. The second thing is verify the land. Okay, and the third thing is ask for the documents that the land has. Then the next one we are going to talk about is the red flags you should never ignore. So I'm going to be listing out some red flags that constantly happen. All right, it's been experienced, especially here in Abuja, so that when you see those kind of red flags, you'll be aware that you have to just be careful. The next thing is when someone pressurizes you to pay. All right, whatever reason it may be, um, someone pressurizing you to pay does not guarantee you to pay. All right, pay at your own pace. Then someone, you are seeking for the documents, like I said, that's one of the things you have to pay attention to. And you're asking for the documents, someone is trying to tell you, oh, there is not necessary. All right, you can just pay. All right, those kind of sweet words. That the papers will come in later after you make payments. You don't need to verify. You don't need to a lawyer. Just take it easy. You know me and all that. Sweet. Or they always sounds good, right? A legitimate transaction should withstand reasonable questions. So sometimes when you ask questions, ask those people so much that they can answer you comfortably or confidently. And you know that, okay, this is check. So avoid these red flags in any case. So the next thing you have to pay attention is the questions you have to ask as a buyer. I would always say that I love the fact that sometimes people ask questions, ask the weirdest, the dumbest, like whatever it is, ask it when it comes to real estate. Why? Because it's something you are doing for the first time. All right, it's not a business you're already used to. You have to ask questions. If you don't understand anything, ask to know. Okay, so here are the questions you are going to ask as a person who is looking to invest in Abuja. who owns the land. Like I said, find out who owns or the company selling the land. Sometimes the person who owns the land is different from the person who is selling. So you see why I said find out who owns the land, find out the title it has, and find out how can I verify the documents. Like I said, you can use a lawyer, you can go to AGIS and do that. Then find out if you can inspect the property. All right. Sometimes if you are not able to access this property for a while, it can be a form of what is going on. So try and inspect the property, whether virtually or physically. Then the next thing is, what exactly are you paying for? This is something I will literally talk for in hours, explaining that sometimes people budget for just the land when they are looking to buy property. And at the end of the day, they'll tell them, oh, there's another money to be paid, there's infrastructure, there's development, and they are not happy about that. So find out what exactly you are paying for, or are there other hidden fees that I'm yet to pay? Find out all that. Then find out, okay, if you can receive receipts, if you make payments now, what are you receiving? Find out that. Then how long will this project last? Found someone who runs or develops a property should have an idea or have a plan regarding that estate or that project. It helps that the project grows. In as much as sometimes life happens and people literally leave a property to just go, nothing is happening there. But every developer should have in mind what he or she is looking to achieve with that estate. Okay, that's how sometimes, because of that plan and goal, you see that you get to constantly achieve it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ali. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate it. So the next thing that you have to also pay attention is, if you are buying from diaspora, don't feel pressure to travel before beginning your research. This one even happened. I heard this recently, where someone got to wait. He saw a property and he saw how the prices were increasing every other time. And he wanted to come back first, visit the property before he made payments. And that's what he did. All right. And he was willing to pay extra. For example, he knew when the properties were selling for 9 million naira. Eventually, he paid 16 million naira for those properties because he wanted to just come and see the property on ground. But this video is trying to tell you that there's something called virtual inspection. There's something called physical inspection. You can use it and secure the property, okay, rather than paying much more later. So many reputable developers and consultants now offer, like I said, live virtual inspection, all right, digital document sharing. There are some documents that normally you won't receive, but because you are not around, there's a way around it. So video calls from the sites, I've done that. I've done this particular one personally. So anytime you go to the estates, you get an update, and which I always do on my channel. I get to share updates on a particular project, particular property that is selling, and how the work is going. Then guided allocation process. All right. So a perfect example is one of the properties we sold called Hutu Exclusive. Every other time we went for site inspection or we took a client for inspection, we will normally do a video and post. And it's made that people saw, oh, this place is, something is happening, the work is going on. And some people were happy because they had invested. Others now made the decision to know that, oh, this place is doing well and I would like to invest here. So technology has made things super easy for anyone who is looking to invest. So you don't have to travel all the way to come down to come and invest. In fact, I've seen a situation where someone never just came in once or twice. They bought a land, they built a property, built rental apartments for him, and he just starts reaping the rental, the rents being paid to him. Others have not come in here and they own hotels or shortlet apartments here in Abuja. That is technology made easy for you. All right. So here is what I will use to end this live session. The first thing you have to say is buying land isn't just about by finding a good price. ensure that you constantly find or have a goal before you invest. That's one of the things I'll always ask anyone who calls, what is the goal of you buying? Why are you buying? And when I know that, we can now know, okay, this property is good for you, this one is not good for you, and the rest. So buy with confidence. Like I said when I started, buying real estate is not the happiest or the easiest thing anybody can do because it is not cheap. It's quite an expensive investment. So you don't expect someone to off, for example, 20 million and the rest, and the person is smiling. Sometimes they do it with fear in their hearts. But what happens is at the end of the day, it turns out well. Someone will now say, oh, I wish I bought two, I wish I bought three. But that's how real estate investment is. A unique investment will over time give you peace. And sometimes people have invested because of the developer behind the project, right? That is why a good name is always better in business. And that is what you should look out for. Look out for all this when you are looking to invest here in Abuja. So as I round up this video, thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for watching. What I need you to do is to subscribe and follow me for any form of Abuja real estate needs you have, and much more. Bearing in mind that I don't just share with you the properties that we have available, I also teach and educate you on how you can buy the ones suitable for you, because not every property is good and suitable for you. So how would you know which one is? Is when you ask questions, and we ask you questions, you answer. And over time, we realize that this is what you are looking for, and we provide it for you, right? Subscribe to the channel. I'll constantly bring updates and informative live sections like this, so you can be the first to know. All right. Thank you for sticking with me up to this very point. And till I come your way again, don't forget to be great and be amazing at whatever you do. And bye.